All right, this is West Covina football coach Mike Maggiore. We're meeting up on Monday morning outside of the Laverne football field as a lot of the schools are closed up. Mike, you coached from 1996 to 2012, won 3 CIF titles. Who were the victories? I know one was South Hills.
South Hills, Bonita, and Lucerna.
Okay. And 2016 was your last season. Before we get into the COVID stuff, what's different about the game of high school football between then and the 4 years to now?
In the 4 years, not a whole lot, but from when I started to now, there's obviously the schemes are a lot different. Much more spread sets, a lot more passing, more creativity. I think coaching's gotten better. I think high school coaching's gotten better. Training's gotten better, off-season training. The kids are bigger and stronger, and faster.
To me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like almost every team goes without having a huddle anymore like they used to always do offensively. And I'm wondering, is that something that is just, it is what it is, or do you think there'll ever be a time that comes back where people huddle up before every play? Because I know usually the teams that play hurry up typically have much more success on offense, and I was wondering, is there a big difference between the two, and what do you prefer?
Well, if it makes it tougher to substitute on defense, it's tougher to adjust on defense. It gets guys in a rhythm, so they're not thinking as much on offense. I mean, and you practice it and you become good at it. It's an advantage. But I seem to think that things always go back. And I could see more huddles later on. I'm not sure when. But
especially maybe if you were the whole point was like you had a lead and you were controlling the clock.
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying to
bleed the clock, yeah.
But even then, some teams don't huddle up and they just stand on the line for 20, 25 seconds.
So we'll fast forward to you taking the job back again. What led you to do that?
Well, I coached freshmen the last couple of years,
okay,
and I enjoyed it a lot. I missed the interaction with the kids, and I got a little bit of that as a freshman coach. The job came open, and they asked if I was interested, and I thought about it a lot, thought about the time it would take, thought about the things that I didn't like about it before, and I just figured it was, I'm a coach, and I'm too young I don't do much else, so I just I want to make an impact on kids. I want to keep doing that. I missed it, and it's a challenge too.
That day when we all reported, because it's not always like, not every coach that comes back is welcome back with open arms. The amazing reaction that, oh my gosh, Mike's back. Like, what did that mean to you? How did that make you feel?
It meant a lot. People appreciated what I did when I was coaching, and I had a positive impact on enough people that I'm sure there's some people that weren't all happy. I mean, it's not all one way, but I've had a good run. I was lucky with some great players and some great assistant coaches and some great parents and families, and I still am in contact with a lot of those people, and it's been a good place to be for 20 years.
Yeah,
I think it can continue to be that way.
Even the most successful and loved coaches have their detractors, so I'm sure it's nothing new. So baseball season gets canceled about 10 games in or so. At what point did, knowing that you were going to coach the football team, at what point did you realize and put together kind of even if it was preliminary, a plan to deal with COVID and how to work around it?
Well, when we went home that first day, I think it was March 13th. They said a couple weeks, you're going to be off a couple weeks. And then a lot of us thought maybe it might be 4 weeks. It might be a lot worse than they thought. And never did we imagine that it would be, would come to this. And I don't think you really plan for something like this because it's unprecedented. We've never had to go through it before. But starting probably in May and June, I started figuring out this is going to be a different type of season if we can play at all.
Yeah.
And just meeting with the kids. I started meeting with the kids on Zoom, probably a lot in May and June, and just doing the most we could to get ready for the season in the way we could, which wasn't much, but even meeting with the kids and being able to see them was, I think, a positive thing for both of us. What
can you do? Well, let me ask this first. Are you more governed or sanctioned by the California and local government, or is it more by CIF? Or
it's more by the California local government and our district. CIF has said, you can start pads this day, December 14th. You can start games first week in January. This is when our calendar is. Now it's up to the state, the county, and the district to determine if it's safe enough to practice and play. And that's going to be different for all the districts. I mean,
Yeah.
it already is. We started working out in June. Some districts started today. Some districts still aren't doing anything. So it's basically what the district administration will allow you to do within the guidelines of the county and state.
So, but could you, as you said, December 14th is the official, according to CIF. If you practice before then, would that be, would you be breaking rules, subjecting yourself to penalty, or is everybody starting like full pads on that particular day?
Everybody's supposed to start full pads that day if they're allowed to by the state and the county and the district. So the CIF just gave us a calendar. This is what you can follow. You can't start before then. You can practice before then if it's allowed, but at this point it's not allowed. We have our pods of 12 kids. You can't use equipment.
Okay.
Mostly strength, conditioning, agility stuff.
Okay.
But it's not a lot of football related stuff. You can't have a full team out there. It makes it hard. You have to be creative.
Where you're at right now in terms of, only you would know this, are you happy with where West Covina football has progressed, everything considered?
I was really happy in January, February when we were lifting weights, and that's really what we got to get. We have to gain some ground strength-wise and being more physical. And then we weren't able to do that. But the kids, we have about 80% of our kids that are coming to workouts. That's what we call them, not really practice. But we've gotten better, and there's a long way to go. And it's hard to tell where we're at because I haven't seen our team together.
Yeah.
That's a hard part for me, not being able to have a full team together, seeing what we have, and being kind of a new coach, taking over a program. Although I know some of the kids. It'd be nice to one day have a full team together and be able to
gel.
Yeah.
How I mean, I know it's literally a 180-degree turn, but how different is it from this day to 2016, where I'm assuming you got to school at 7 or 8 a.m. and you didn't come home till 7 or 8 p.m. Like, how much of a adjustment has it been, or what kind of an adjustment has it been for you?
It's been totally different than anything you can even imagine. Summer was to the point where we didn't really know when it started or when it ended. It was just kind of the same. Every day is kind of the same, and the calendar's a lot lighter now. There's no, my son doesn't have practices or games, and there's no meetings or there's a lot more free time. I value the time that I'm with the kids.
Yeah.
In the morning and the afternoon. We have groups that come in. We have 8 different groups, and each coach has a group, and I value that time tremendously. I mean, I get there early. I like being there. We still have Google meetings during our PE period, but it's completely different and nothing we've ever experienced, and nothing really we want to ever experience again when this is over.
How responsible do you feel, and this is not anybody that watches this, it's not a political statement in the least. We've all got people in our lives that are more susceptible than others. So in other words, the young kids, for the most part, they would get through it, but it's the risk of potentially getting a grandma or grandpa or whomever sick. How responsible have you seen your kids respond to this pandemic?
Well, when they're around us, they've been tremendous. They show up with their masks. They all have done their temperature. If not, we do their temperature when they come in. We ask them a series of questions. They sanitize their hands 4, 5, 6 times throughout the hour and a half that they're there. So they've kept their social distance, although that's been tough. They're just not used to being apart from each other, and when they are together, they're so excited that they just want to get in a group and talk.
Yeah.
And so we've had to keep reminding them. But we're it seems like in the beginning it was a lot easier to keep them, and now it's getting harder and harder because they want that interaction. And a lot of people are not forgetting about it, but they're not as, I don't want to say not as cognizant of what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't care, but they're just kind of tired of dealing with this
Fatigue.
the situation that they're dealing with.
Could you name off your coaching staff?
Jason Heilman is the assistant head coach, and he's been there for a long time. Matt Johnson, APU, former coach and former player for us. He's
And the wrestling coach.
Coordinator. Yeah, he's a wrestling coach. He's a great. I mean, he's a great motivator.
Good dude too.
He's doing. Yeah. Henry Tarrin, who actually just graduated from Laverne.
Uh-huh.
He's there, and he played for me. Joe Carrillo actually played at South Hills, played Division III football after that. Henry Tarrin Sr., Stanley Bowers, who I played with in high school, is coaching. Mike Sanchez and Walter Thurman.
I was going to ask you, you didn't mention him, so I'm like, did something happen with Walter?
No, I'm just doing
okay.
I was going different order.
Well, not only was, I covered you back then, and he took over that South Hills game, the championship game. He won how many? One or two Super Bowl rings?
One Super Bowl.
Okay. With Seattle, is it?
Yes.
But he's just an impressive guy. He fights for people who don't have people fighting for him. But he's a very intelligent guy. What is Walter going to add, or what is he adding to your program?
Well, as great as he was as a player, he's even a better person, and that's, I mean, if you
it's a lot to say, right?
Yeah, if you saw him play, he was tremendous. He's a competitor. He has a championship mentality on and off the field. He's a great role model for our guys. Our guys that want to have a voice in what's going on and want to be positive.
Yeah.
He's just a great young role model that knows the game of football, knows how to teach, and also has interest outside of football. And that's important too. That these kids just don't put everything into. I mean, we say put everything you have into it but you need to have other interests too, and he's shown that with the movie making and the business aspect. I mean, he has a nonprofit organization. He helps a lot of people.
Yeah, good man.
He's the type of person he is.
Does he, because of his success, because of his pedigree, because his age is closer to the players than most of your coaches, does that give him instant credit, like massive instant credibility?
I would think any of our kids instant credibility because of what he's done on the field, but they're gonna get to find out, and they're gonna get to find out the next, as long as he's coaching, that he's much more than that, and he's even more impressive as a person, like we say.
And this is no cut on the coach you replaced, but over the last 3 years they went 5-25, did the best he could with what he had. That said, how quickly do you think you could, when I say turn it around, over 500, is that a likelihood this year?
It's a possibility. I think we're going to be competitive. It's hard to tell. Again, I don't know what we have when we're all together. The other thing is, when we are able to play, how many parents are going to not allow their kids to play? That's going to be a situation too. So I think we'll be more competitive. Corey Tell is he coached for me for a long time. He was a tremendous football coach.
Was he also a baseball player?
No. He played at Ayala for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
But he was a great football player. I coached against him. He came to Laverne, was all conference. He was a very, very smart football guy. He just had a bad situation, and they didn't win a lot of games. But he knows what he's doing.
So I know these next two are going to be kind of, I'm putting you on the spot, and I'm not going to hold you against your guess. It's just a guess. What do you think the percentage is that come January 6th, your boys are in uniform and competing against another team?
I'd say 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at some point during the following 10 weeks we're going to be playing. I just don't know if it's going to be January 6th.
Okay.
I hope so.
Could you foresee a season, and I know CIF makes most of their money, or I've been led to believe they make most of their money all year off of football revenue. Could you ever foresee a situation like they have in college and pros where you guys, the coaches, maybe a reporter or two, but nobody else in the stands? Could you see that, or is it either all playing and everybody there or nothing?
I could see that happening if that meant the kids were able to play. I could see that. I mean, biggest thing here to me is that the kids at the high school level get to play football, and they work hard. The seniors, it might most likely their last time playing. I just want to see them be able to play. A 10-game season would be great. When that came out, and we were excited. But even to get to play, as many games as possible.
I think they would take that. Obviously, they would love to have the fans and the noise and this and that. But if you gave them the choice, I can't imagine one player saying, "Nope, no fans. I'm not."
Yeah, they'll want to play, and we want to watch them play. And we want to coach, and that's.
Could you name off a few or a couple of guys that you really expect not only to produce big things, but also to be the leaders of your game plan, of your the way you run things?
Yeah, Jason Chang, returning linebacker, running back.
Is he a senior?
He's senior,
Okay.
4.0 kid. He's a great leader, great worker. Been a pleasure to work with. Drew Hall is a talented running back, a returning senior. Wyatt Oak, quarterback that transferred in. He looks good. He's been another good student. Jesse Lucero and Ezra Ray are returning linemen, both seniors that should be very good for us. So we have, again, I haven't seen all of them to know who's at what level yet, but those are 5 guys at the top of my head.
Okay. What do you think if you guys are successful this year? And again, I know I'm asking you to leap because you haven't even had a real practice yet, but do you see yourself, you guys being more of the defense keeps you in games and the offense struggles, or the offense scores a lot? Do you have any guess as to what you think that you guys will do well?
Yeah, I want to add Henry Chavez,
okay,
to returning linebacker.
Okay,
he's another 4.0 student.
Okay,
and a great kid. I think our defense has a chance to be pretty good.
Okay,
we're going to be pretty athletic at linebacker, not very big. Our defensive line should be pretty good. And our secondary, a lot of those kids played last year, so they have experience. Now, they weren't extremely successful, but they got a lot of experience, so they kind of know the speed and pace of what's going to be happening. There's nothing to replace experience.
Yeah.
So I think our defense is going to be pretty solid. I think our offense will progress as we go, and I don't want to say we're going to start off slow, but I think the defense might be a little bit ahead of the offense in the beginning.
Just as more important than football is our education. I'm just wondering, do you have any idea a typical day for a West Covina varsity football player? I mean, do they have to be online at certain times, or do they get messages with assignments, or how does that work?
At this point right now, it's they're online at 8 o'clock. They go through 3 hour-and-a-half classes with a little break in between. So they're done at 1:45. And then we have workouts 2:15, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of them come at 6 in the morning, 6 to 7:30.
And is that an outside weight? Like, I know LaSalle has an outside weight room now.
We have an outside weight room. We have everything outside.
Okay.
And then we have, we do speed and agility stuff.
Is it more difficult to, I mean, I know we're only X amount of weeks in, but to follow your players' grades, is it more?
Oh, it's been easy for me because I have the time to do that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all over them about that stuff. And a lot of them are doing, we probably have 15 kids with a 4.0 or above. But then we have some kids that are struggling too. And it seems like it's one or the other. Kids are really doing well, or kids are not doing well at all. And you spend more time as a coach, obviously, on the kids that aren't doing well. But we have a lot of kids doing well. But the online stuff is difficult, and it's getting. It seems like just recently, the last couple of weeks, kids are hitting a little bit of a wall, and they get a little tired, a little bit frustrated, a little bit. The attitude's not as the same as it was in August and September. So I'm trying to deal with that, work with that, and I want the kids to know that I'm not just there to coach football, but I want them to be successful in everything they do.
So 2 final questions. What are you most besides the guys being together in one place? What are you most excited about this 2020 team? 2021, I guess.
I just want to 2021. I just want to see them together in pads. I want to see them communicate and have fun. The stuff that's been taken away from us the last few months, being in the locker room, hanging out after the games, so those simple things you don't think about, and they're not the, besides the rallies and all that stuff, but the simple things, the day-to-day things that have been kind of stripped from them. I want to be able to see them do that again. I have a son that's a 10th grader, so I kind of see it as not only a coach but a father, and the socialization that they get from playing a sport, especially football, and all the different types of kids coming together, and just want to see them be a part of a team and be able to play. And
the character you're seeing coming out, do you like what you're seeing?
Oh yeah, I like the character of the team. Again, you don't know full character until you get hit in the mouth and knocked on the ground and see what happens.
Or you fall behind.
Yeah, you fall behind. So when things aren't going well, the last few months have been tough for these kids and the coaches, but they've been tough, and I like what most of them have. Most of them have responded. Now, not all of them have done what we wanted them to do, and some of them have fallen behind in the classroom and not where they're supposed to be. But most of the kids are doing a great job.
Okay, so last question, and obviously most important and personal to you. Your mom, it was a little less than 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
So your mom passed away at the age of 90. Was it Alzheimer's or dementia?
She had Alzheimer's, yeah.
But obviously you guys, I mean, you guys loved her so much, and I saw on Facebook your sister put a post mentioning her date of year of birth, year of death. 313 comments, 400 and something lives celebrating your mom's life. 90 years in her generation is an amazing life.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with that, and what was so, like, what could you tell us about your mom?
Well, first of all, she was all about her family first. Her kids meant everything to her. She did anything she could to make us happy, to get us anything that we wanted. And we didn't have a lot when I was growing up, but her focus was all about family. And she was very selfless. I mean, she didn't shop for herself. She didn't do things for herself. It was all about her family.
What good moms do, right?
Yeah, just and I see a lot of both sides being a coach. But she went to a lot of football games. She was at every one of the games I coached until she wasn't able to drive anymore.
Yeah.
She kept a scrapbook, everything that was ever written, and it's nice to look at that, you know, later on. She said at one point, "You're gonna appreciate this." At the time, I'm just like, "Mom, I don't need to see that stuff." But she was so proud of her kids. Everywhere she went, she told, and it embarrassed us a little bit. But you know, my daughter's a principal, and my son's a football coach, and she was just proud.
As she should be.
Of us.
Yeah.
And we knew that. We felt so much love from her. It was just very obvious that we were close. I went to lunch with her once a week until the last couple of years. Once a week since I started teaching. And a lot of reasons. The biggest reason I came back to the area after Oregon State was because of her.
Yeah.
And family is so important to me. We don't have a big family. It's my sister, myself, and my mom. My father passed away in '86. So since then, she's kind of taken the role. And when my father passed away, she didn't, you know, she was very upset that it hurt the family, but she didn't complain, or she just kind of moved forward, and she was there for us at a really tough time.
Are there any traits that, like, to this day, that she most instilled in you, that you can just, oh yeah, this is what my mom taught me?
To love. I mean, love's the biggest. Love and care for people, and to be unselfish.
Did the support you've gotten from outside of your family, was that overwhelming?
Yeah, I mean, my friends have always been. I have a close group of friends from high school football and sports and I understand how important those relationships are, because I'm a byproduct of one of them. We don't have a family, much of a family, small one. So my family is my friends.
Yeah.
And those guys right away wanted to do stuff, wanted to come over, wanted to be a part of things, wanted to
whatever you needed help with.
Whatever we needed. And then there's the former players and the people I work with, the teachers and coaches, and there's a lot of great people in our lives that and we know that, but when something like this happens,
you know who your real friends are,
and understand it a little bit more.
So if she can hear us right now looking down on us, what would you want your mom to know?
That I'm proud to be her son, and I'm going to continue to try to make her proud and do the best I can and be somewhat as good a parent as she was.